All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope you enjoy. Welcome to episode 60 of the KissFAQ podcast. I am your host again this week, Lonnie Weishauer, stlkiss on the KissFAQ message board. And on the show today with me is Ken, 69th Blizzard, Marcus Almighty, and my favorite, Alex, the bad boy.
Woo.
So we made it through a week of recording and doing the show by ourselves without the boss, and he allowed us to do it again. So I guess we're doing something right. I want to thank everyone who listened to last week's show about the reunion tour. It seemed to generate a decent amount of discussion on the board, so that's really cool. I appreciate the feedback. I always enjoy reading feedback, as I'm sure the rest of the guys do, and participating in the discussion on your guys' thoughts on the topic of the week. So today, for the show, we are going to talk. There's a little bit of Kiss news, actually. It's been a slow time in the world of Kiss, but there's some Kiss-related news this week, and that was Ace Frehley revealing the track list for his covers album that has been discussed for a number of years now. And we did a show early on. It was episode 3, where Julian, myself, Jay, and Daniel talked about what kind of covers we would like to hear Ace do, and we finally have that track listing. And we also have a single. So before we get into the track listing, we have the single for The White Room by Cream. Have you guys had a chance to listen to it yet?
Yep. Listen to it.
What are your guys' first impressions upon hearing the first track off the album?
Well, I remember when I woke up early in the morning. I think it was the day it came out, and I was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know why I was up that early, but anyways, I checked on my phone, and I saw that he had released the single. So I put it on, and I checked it out, and musically, I thought it was really well done. I thought the production job is good. I remember that there was a few clips on YouTube where they were talking to the guy who was producing and engineering it. The name who it is slips me, but he's online all the time on YouTube doing these kind of production videos of how to, record better drum tracks and this and that for people who do studio recordings. And he mentioned offhand that he was working with Ace as well. And there's also some pictures with him and Ace in the studio. And he did a really good job. They did. Musically, it sounds really good. I mean, let's face it, Ace's records have never really been a victim of bad production or sound. They've always sounded decent. There's always been one Achilles heel on the Ace album, and that's his singing. I mean, he's
Why do you hate Ace?
Well,
Why?
I don't hate Ace. I think he's good. I mean, there's much worse people than him, Neil Young, than him. But his singing. Let's put it this way: it's not his best vocal performance, but at least I think he's kind of gotten to the point where he realizes his strengths and his weaknesses when it comes to that. And smartly, he just tackled the verses, kind of talked his way through it, and left all the really melodic parts to, I believe it was the drummer at this point that's doing those parts now on the recording. And he did a great job. The guy who I think is it Scott Coogan? I think maybe who's doing that, or is that the Matt Starr? Maybe one of those two guys are doing it.
Sure.
And but whoever did it did a really good job, and it's not a bad single. I mean, it's way better than the Joker. I thought that was the most horrendous cover Ace has ever done, and thank God that that's kind of behind us now, and this is a lot better for a single.
Yeah, it was.
Hey man, the thing that always ruined the Joker for me was just the fact that he didn't say my name is Eugene. That was like Lost the moment of that song right there. Some people call me Eugene. I would have done that, and it would have. I think the Joker might have won the hearts of many if they did that. But
Yeah, true. I wonder if he purposefully took that out because of that, like because of his connection with that song from the past, right?
Maybe. I listened to the new song, and my thoughts on it was, the production was like almost like the original. I mean, it was pretty darn. They nailed it. The production, the whole sound, and everything. Yes, and then his vocals on the verses are they're ace vocals. I mean, they don't sound anything like the original Cream song from that standpoint. Except now it goes into the higher part. Maybe it's in the chorus where they sing higher. Is that still Ace
No.
doing that? That's got to be someone else singing that.
No, it's the drummer. As I was saying before, the drummer.
that is the drummer.
I think it's Scott Coogan.
Yeah.
It is Scott
I think
Coogan?
it is Scott.
All right. So, I mean, maybe he should have sang the whole song, in my opinion. But it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's a good song. Ace kills it, on his guitar licks, especially towards the end of the song there, right? So it was an enjoyable song. I think he did a good job on it.
Alex, what about you?
I mean, I liked it. I was super stoked. I'm trying to remember. I think I was like up on campus and I was coming home from a class, or and I was at a study session. And I was coming back and I went on to got on Facebook and there was the post and it was way cool. So I was like, I listened to it on my way back and I was like, no flipping way. That's a new song for me. Even though it was a cover, and I think that production of it. I really hope that this samples what we got. I mean, it's one song, but I hope that this is a precursor to what's going to come. I hope the rest of the album has great production like that, because I know he's got like different guest people on the album, so they recorded it for different times. But I really hope the whole album is together and stuff at the same time, that it flows really good, and it doesn't sound like he just did 12 songs chosen or whatnot and just do them all together and stuff. So I hope the old album has a whole feel to it.
Yeah, I hope the production is consistent throughout. I really enjoyed the production of the song. The guitars really sounded fantastic, in my opinion. You guys mentioned the vocals. Ace has never been known to have stellar or dynamic vocals, so it's not total. It's Ace Frehley vocal, so I mean it's not gonna win an Academy Award for Best Vocal Track or anything like that. So, it was fine. I enjoyed it. It kind of reminded, and it was kind of unexpected too. I wasn't expecting to get that single that morning. Reminded me of when we got the single from Space Invader, that we just kind of woke up one morning and there it was. It's kind of the same strategy. I just kind of unannounced and just bam, there it is. Nice little surprise in the morning to have a new Kiss-related track to listen to and critique or complain about, whatever your taste may be. So, but it was nice. I enjoyed it. I hope the album is consistent with the same production throughout and doesn't sound choppy or anything like that. But as far as the album goes, we have The White Room by Cream. Should have had that beer before we started. Street Fighting Man by the Rolling Stones, and I'll give Julian credit because in episode 3, Julian said it'd be nice for Ace to do a Rolling Stones song, and I told Julian I don't think he'll do it. So Julian, there's one for the boss on that one.
Yeah.
Spanish Castle Magic, Jimi Hendrix.
Gotta give
Daniel
credit,
Yeah, Daniel wanted to hear some Jimi Hendrix, so Daniel got one that.
And you wanted the obscure track too, and I think that's one of the obscure Hendrix songs too.
Yeah,
so.
and John 5 guests on that, so it's kind of cool to have a modern day rock lead guitarist on there with him, who was heavily influenced by Ace Frehley as well. And John 5's a big Kiss fan.
I'm going to go on record here just really quickly to say that's going to be the Black Sheep surprise track of the album. That's my guess. Yeah.
And maybe the most anticipated track and that most talked about track for the last week is track 4, Fire and Water by Free, featuring the one and only Paul Stanley.
Oh boy.
And we've even seen threads on the board already saying, "Oh, Tommy Thayer's out of a job. Look at this. Paul and Ace are good vibes are going on. Tommy better be looking for another job." I forget who posted it on the board, but someone posted, "Well, maybe Tommy will go and play Izzy Stradlin on the Guns N' Roses tour."
Perfect.
But
oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got to do a quick with that, and I'm sure we'll probably discuss it a little bit. But like with people going back, sometimes, they'll have a band member leave, or then they'll have a previous guy, guest on an album, and he never come back. I mean, I think Paul McCartney's a great example. Or any of the former Beatles, they would have, Aaron Mixon's Ringo Starr on a guest track, or George Harrison, and so forth. And look, the Beatles haven't got back together yet, guys, so, just because Paul's singing on Ace track doesn't mean Ace is back in Kiss.
Alex, you're kind of sketchy. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, we're kind of losing you.
Kind of.
Oh, am I still there?
A little bit.
No, yeah, it's better.
You're better right now. Don't move.
As for this Paul Stanley's being on there, that's kind of surprising, actually, especially with things that have been said in the past. I think Ace originally said that he was going to ask Gene to sing Deuce on Deuce or something like that.
I thought Gene.
So where is Gene? What happened there? Maybe Gene said, "Hey," he called him. Well, why don't you ask Paul to do it? Maybe he's trying to mend, fences between them.
I'm really curious
that way. I don't know.
I'm really curious to hear that because I've also read. I don't know if you guys saw that tweet that Paul put up about we've had said things about each other in the past, but in the end we'll always be a family, even if it is a dysfunctional family.
He's back in the band. They said the same thing in 95, 96.
Yeah, that's what they're planning, reunion too.
But the thing is, though, I also heard, too, that this is apparently going to be a different Paul Stanley you're going to hear on this song. And apparently he's not singing in his normal voice on this song. He's kind of singing a lot lower, which is, wow, surprise, surprise, considering how much trouble he's having singing his own tunes. So it's going to be definitely, I think, he's going to have to accommodate his new vocal range for this too, right? So I'm curious to hear how it's going to sound because, with all the trouble he's had, and it might be a good thing for him to do this song because maybe he might discover a new way for him to sing on upcoming Kiss stuff too. Maybe if they make a new record, right, it might help him out with saying, hey, it worked out really good on this song with Ace. Maybe I'll try, doing the next batch of songs in this manner, and maybe it'll work out better for them. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely when I get the CD, the first track I'm going to put on, because that's the one I'm the most curious about, is one we haven't heard Paul record. I guess, well, if you want to call, I guess it changed the Japanese song last year about this time. We did hear Paul record a song on that, and his vocals on that sounded great in my opinion. But it'll be interesting to hear how he attacks this song and how Paul sounds. Given Paul's, I don't know if the best word to say is limitations lately, or just Paul's aging in his voice lately. So it'll be interesting to hear how he sounds and how he attacks that Free song. It's definitely the most anticipated song as far as Kiss fans are concerned.
And they can fix that, stuff. In
it is a studio. It's not live on a stage. So
There's autocorrect and all kinds of stuff. It's funny that you mentioned, Lonnie, that's probably the most anticipated song that Kiss fans are waiting for, because the most anticipated song for me as a Kiss fan is I want to hear Rock and Roll Hell, because here's a song that Ace had nothing to do with, he was gone by this record, and that he's doing that song on a covers record is really strange. I thought that's kind of odd that he would select that.
I have my own little Kiss nerd related theory on that. We'll get to that when we get to it. That's what you call deep tease in the podcasting business. Make you keep listening. So number 5th track on the album is Emerald, Thin Lizzy cover featuring Slash. I think we I think they Slash or Ace or somebody tweeted out. Ace isn't on Twitter. Maybe it was Slash tweeted out a picture of him in the studio with Ace a while back. So
Yeah.
I think we knew that some kind of collaboration with Slash was on the way.
Yeah, everybody thought it was going to be Boys Are Back in Town, but they proved them wrong, obviously.
But Jay, we got that Thumb Dizzy song, Jay. So
Yeah, JJ.
Kiss.
Look at you, Alex, doing your homework. I'm so proud of you. Sixth song, I knew we knew there would be a Led Zeppelin. I think we all kind of knew there would be a Led Zeppelin track on the record, considering Ace's always cites Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix as his two biggest influences. But the selection on it, Bring It On Home, off of Led Zeppelin 2, very, very odd choice, but very cool choice also.
Great song.
So I'm excited to hear that one as well. Wild Thing featuring Lita Ford.
This is the one that we know that Julian's going to be cursing about, because I remember him rolling his eyes about the whole Lita Ford thing for this. So he must be loving this one.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear Julian's. I hope Julian responds on the board about his thoughts on the Lita Ford Wild Thing. And it's very cliche Ace Frehley that I can see him doing it. It's right in his vocal range. You know what I mean? I could see him, because it's really kind of an Ace type song where you kind of talk out the lyrics almost.
I'm gonna guess they're gonna maybe trade vocals on that one.
And that could be. I could really see Lita taking a turn on vocals also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Number 8, and this was one that I think on the episode that we did earlier, talking about what we thought might be on it. This is one I think we all agreed on would be Parasite. It's one of Ace's more classic Kiss songs that he wrote. It's a song Ace always plays when he goes out and plays live. And to get a great recording of Ace singing the vocals on that that'll be great. And John Five's on that one as well.
And it's also been one that he's been mentioning for the longest time. Even in that, there's a couple of books that they did back in the past where he mentioned that he wanted to do a nice up-to-date version of that song. That he always thought that that's one of the songs that really suffered from the production on Hotter Than Hell. So I think he's ecstatic that he's going to have a great version of that now.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool. And to hear John Five and him on that together, I think will be a really cool collaboration. Magic Carpet Ride from Stephen Wolf.
Magic Carpet Ride.
I can see that.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, man. You know, that's right up his alley. Magic Carpet Ride.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Another one that we thought we'd hear when we were projecting, Cold Gin.
Oh yeah.
Makes perfect sense. He sang the lyrics on the reunion. He sang the second verse on the reunion tour. Sang it with Gene when they did it in Australia. He didn't sing it with Gene on the Dynasty. They didn't play it on the Dynasty tour.
I think they did. He did it in Tokyo when Gene lost his voice. Remember?
Yeah, and he did. He sang the whole thing in '97.
Yeah.
Nice callback, Mark, to the last episode.
And I think
I
think when the Unmasked tour they performed in Sydney.
Uh-huh.
I think they all did lead together. And I know, like Ace, if I recall, I think he was in Behind the Mask, and all they go through the songs, and that was a song he mentioned that he would like to re-record with today's technology. So it'll be exciting to finally kind of see that after reading that, 15 plus years ago in a book.
Yeah, I think Cold Gin, I think was one you had to do along with Parasite. It just made too much sense not to include that on there. Just classic Ace Frehley songs, and the song he does live still is obviously one of his favorite Kiss songs. Not only one of the favorite Kiss songs, one of his own favorite songs, along with Parasite. Mike McCready from Pearl Jam guests on that as well, so that's fun. Pearl Jam has had Ace on before, like when they played at Madison Square Garden, Ace came out and played a little bit with him, so those guys are big Kiss fans, so that'll be exciting to hear also.
I think he appeared also on a Guitar World cover with them as well, Ace and Mike McCready, so they've been associated for far back too. So. And
you listen to that Pearl Jam album, they rip off. I'm not a huge Pearl Jam guy, but there's a Pearl Jam song where they ripped off part of the She solo And we're
Oh yeah.
we lost.
We lost Alex.
Oh no,
We lost your video. We can hear you.
I can still see.
Yeah, your video is completely
Your
gone.
video's gone.
Let me see if it comes back on. Am I there? Can you see me now?
Okay.
Not yet. You're sort of there. You're kind of pixelized though. There.
There you're there.
Awkward.
Julian might have to do a little. We're gonna make it rough on Julian to do a little editing, possibly. Or maybe he'll just leave this in. So this is the show, huh? This is what you guys do.
Yeah, this is why you can't have nice things.
Till the End of the Day by the Kinks.
Yeah,
Different.
take it or leave it.
We'll see.
Different.
Yeah.
And the last track, for a third Kiss cover, Ace chooses Rock and Roll Hell, which, as Mark mentioned, is kind of a peculiar choice, considering that it's on Creatures that Ace had next to nothing to do with. Ace was, more or less out of the band at that point. Didn't record on it. I know his face appears on the album cover. We hashed that to death. So
Yeah.
that's really, really odd that he would choose that song as opposed to Talk to Me,
Yeah.
Rocket Ride.
Yeah.
And not that Rocket Ride I don't think needs a re-record, but
Yeah.
Some of the crappy sound and stuff on Unmasked that could be, you give that some punch and some attitude, you could really bring some life into those songs.
Or even Hard Times or something he did.
Yeah, Hard Time or Dark Light.
Dark Light,
Yeah.
mentioned Dark Light on the show that we did earlier. Dark Light, can that be a great one? Because then you can play it in concert, which would be amazing.
Oh yeah.
It'd give him an excuse to
That'd be
play
cool.
it live if he put it on his covers album.
Yeah.
So
what's your
So my theory is, we've heard rumors that Rock and Roll Hell was about Ace. That when Gene recorded it was about touring and being with Ace Frehley, get me out of this rock and roll hell. Get me away from Ace Frehley and his demons that were going on at the time in the band. So maybe this is Ace's revenge on Gene.
But the
Maybe
thing
I'm
is,
reading way too much into it too.
but
It's kind of funny though.
But the thing is, though, that's a cover to begin with. That was a BTO song, right?
Well, why did they cover that?
Gene has a credit in it only because he changed two lines in the song he added to it. So really, essentially, it was a song that they had nothing to do with in terms of writing. But it's still odd that he chose it. Is this also maybe his way of saying that maybe he had a little bit more to do with the record than we think, and this is his kind of cryptic message of saying that, hey, don't completely count me out of Creatures, I had a little bit to do with it. Maybe he suggested the song to do before he left the band, and maybe did it.
Maybe he wanted to sing it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe before they left, they wanted to do that song. He was going to sing it, and then they just finally cut ties with him, but they still did the song without him.
That's possible. I mean, until someone actually asks him, and why did you pick that song? We won't know. We can speculate on it. But I remember that story, Lonnie, that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
About Gene said something about it's kind of about Ace, or maybe he liked it because he thought it reminded him of Ace, and that sort of thing. I like the song. I've talked in the past when we've done the Creatures episode that I liked that. So that was one of the first songs I liked off the album, actually. So I'm interested to hear his version.
It's be interesting to hear Ace Frehley singing those verses in the chorus. That would be a totally different sound than what you never thought you'd hear.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Well, what do you think, Alex?
Oh, I was just as surprised. Because he wasn't on the Creatures album, and so give or take, whatever the story behind it is, I think it's fascinating. Us as Kiss fans, we're going like, oh, he wasn't on this song, and we're kind of like Kiss nerds. Some people might go like, oh, cool, he did 3 Kiss songs, and not even know that the last song was one that he wasn't on. But I do hope he gets brought up in an interview. I hope he gets down and does some press coverage, and I hope somebody goes, "So what led you to do that song?" Because it is interesting, again, because it's from an album he wasn't on, and so I can only imagine he's probably at some point he's probably listened to Creatures of the Night, part of the album at some point. I would think so if it's got his picture on it, to at least see what it was. And so, who knows? Maybe he, because he's still, because his face is on the cover. Maybe he bought got a copy of the album when it came out and thought, that's a good song, not a bad song. I'll do it anyways. So.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's most interesting selection out of the 12 tracks that we have that shows. I mean, there's some other interesting selections, but I mean, the one that makes you raise your eyebrows more than any other one. So it'll be interesting to hear his interpretation of a Kiss song that he didn't even play on. So there's 12 tracks on the album. The album hits April 15th. Is that correct?
I'll tell you in a second.
Tax day in America, so we get to celebrate it that day.
It is April 15th.
So don't just stream the album. If you want new music from our beloved heroes, go out and purchase the music so that they can continue to make music. Don't illegally download it. It's my public service announcement for the day. Go out and buy the album. Do yourself a favor, do the artist a favor that you enjoy. Go out and purchase the album.
Find the vinyl too.
But yeah, I'll go out and I'm sure I'll purchase a couple copies of it, just like I did Space Invader, because I want the vinyl version, I want this, I want that, and my wife will get mad at me. Why do you need 3 copies of the same album?
Yeah, I never downloaded Space Invader on vinyl. I got the different CD editions, but I've talked about the cover for this one. That's kind of why I want to get the vinyl, because I think the cover is an outstanding artwork on the album cover.
You're breaking up bad again, Alex.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'll be sorry.
I think he was saying that he thought that I think he said that the album cover is really outstanding on this one, that he really is looking forward to getting the vinyl because of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. What do you guys think of the artwork on the album? It's unusual. It's not what it's different.
Well, yeah, it's just his space theme again, kind of in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guitar is flying on these little, almost islands in the air, right?
Right.
And it's interesting that they have the New York kind of landscape there too, with the towers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Wait a minute. Now, what is the blimp with 27 on it? What does that represent?
Well, his birthday is on the 27th, right? Of April?
Is the blimp Led Zeppelin? Is 27th his birthday?
I'm not sure what that
could
means.
be a good one. Yeah.
I know. I thought the album cover had a very 70s feel. Reminded me of Utopia's End of the Life that they had in the 70s, kind of the colors and the motifs of like being in the air. So I don't know. Kind of got that vibe from it myself.
Right.
And Ace is very interesting on the album cover too. That if on the top of his guitar, you can see the Ace makeup. It's an Ace Frehley signature guitar, which has the solo album Ace Frehley.
Oh yeah.
On it.
Yeah.
So that's very. That's. I know it's really small, but it is definitely there. So that's. I don't know if Gene. I don't know if Gene Paul will come after him for that, but it's.
Sue him.
And he has he doesn't have a lightning bolt S on his shirt, but it's similar to a Kiss S, but it's not quite a Kiss S. But you can see how it's kind of maybe a knockoff of it.
It is definitely a very, very interesting cover. I mean,
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his love of Gibson Les Pauls is pretty obvious in it, and I mean, a lot of the bands and the songs that he covers on here, I mean, there's a lot of Les Paul players as well, which shows the connecting influence, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
Yeah. He's
you know,
got the
it's
UFOs going too. And
yeah. Well, that's always been his thing as well, too. Obviously, right? But I mean, in New York City, I mean, his attachment to that city is, you know, obvious with just the same with Kiss, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
But I mean, but the funny thing is that Ace has always kept his allegiance. I found with New York a lot more than Kiss did. I mean, Kiss, a lot of them moved out to the West Coast, right, to California, and he's always, you know, I mean, I know that he's probably on that side too, but he's always kind of kept that. He's always seemed to have more of a New York connection than the other guys had for some reason. I've always felt that he was more the New York representation.
Yeah, him and Peter have been, I think, have always been East Coast. Peter lived down on the West Coast for a while too. I know he was back east now, but I think the two of them kind of are just East Coast guys and kind of stayed true to their roots. I mean, you know, not that Gene and Paul didn't stay true to their roots, but I mean, it's just where the business took Gene and Paul is to them.
Yeah.
So those are our thoughts on the upcoming Ace Frehley album, Origins Volume 1. Happy to see it coming out more than anything. More Kiss related music, in my opinion, the better. I wish Ace the best of luck with the album, and he already has a lot of tour dates lined up for this spring. So I hope to maybe I hope if he schedules some more Midwest dates, I'd like to go out and see him, and I'm sure you guys would too if he comes to your area. So if Ace is coming to your area and you're listening to the show, go out and support him. Go out and buy the CD. Go out and support him. Buy a shirt while you're there. Support Ace Frehley so that he continues to make music, continues to tour, and
it's always a good show too. I've seen Ace twice solo, and it's always a great show. I mean, both times I saw him, first time he was about 10 minutes late, but it was still a great show, great set list, and I can imagine you throw a few of these songs in there, and you get to hear a few gems that is not normally played at a Kiss show.
absolutely. Ace is great to see live. I've seen him, I guess, 3 times live. I talked about the first time I saw him on the last show, and he was out of his mind. But I've seen him twice since then, twice post-Kiss reunion tour, I think in 2008, and then again last year. And they were both fantastic shows. And like Alex says, he puts on a great show and plays a lot of the Kiss songs that you normally wouldn't hear at a Kiss show. We can go back and forth about Ace's set list playing Detroit Rock City or Deuce and whether you agree with that or not. And if I don't need to hear Love Gun nothing against Ace really. I don't need to hear Love Gun at an Ace show. I hear Love Gun enough at a Kiss shows, God knows. So
I got to hear Hard Times, and that was pretty cool. So
yeah, and like in 2008, he did like this medley that had like
with
Torpedo Girl in it.
Yeah,
Shit,
it's way cool.
right? It was
That
awesome.
was. I remember, but I remember when he did that. And Anthony was the bass player, Anthony, and he goes in that bass line, and it was like, no way, no effing way,
Yeah.
like what? So
Pretty badass. So Ace releases that, and I was talking to my wife a little bit about it last night, and she's like, "Are these all like cover songs?" I'm like, "Yeah," and she goes, "Wasn't that just kind of a easy way to put together an album and just put something out there?" I go, "Well, yeah, that's exactly the point." But he's not the first person to do that. We've seen a lot of bands in recent history do something like that. We've seen, for lack of a better example, we saw Poison do that a while back, and
Metallica,
that was even further
Yeah.
back. Metallica, with that Garage Incorporated scene.
Garage, yeah.
Great reference point, Mark. Which was really good, actually. I really enjoyed the Metallica one because they put a great spin on a lot of those songs, and some of them are even better than the originals. They're fantastic.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, just.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, like, lots of bands seem to do that, and I find that a lot of times when bands do it, it's sometimes to have a kind of a tie-over project, so they have time to prepare themselves for another record. It gives them usually time because they have something else floating around to keep the public occupied for the next, 8 to 12 months while they work on something else. I mean, lots of bands have done it. Even Stryper did a cover record, and lots of bands have done it through the years. I mean, Rush did Feedback, right, where they did a album, nothing but 60s and 70s songs that influenced them when they started. So it's not a new idea, but it's always a good idea. And I mean, even just now, I think it was Julian posted not long ago on the board that there's another tribute record of bands covering Kiss songs coming out really soon as well.
Mhm.
But it's more like, but they're lesser known bands. Like I wouldn't call them lesser known, but they're more like the B circuit band kind of ones, right? So,
No.
Maybe
Didn't Alice Cooper did one too?
Hollywood Vampires, which was very good the other night on the Grammys, by the way.
Oh yeah. I saw
Yeah.
that.
Duff McKagan and Matt Sorum and Joe Perry. Joe Perry looked rough, didn't he? Woo! Cats and dogs.
yeah.
They're all getting up there.
So, and even Guns N' Roses did Spaghetti Incident back in '93, which is that's a topic for a Guns N' Roses podcast, but you can do a show on that. But I mean, it's like Mark said, it's not a new concept to go ahead and put out a covers record, and it's almost comparable to like you guys were talking about like a live album that a band might put out a live album and like, well, we'll put this out to kind of tide over the fans while we work on our new album, or we'll put out this cover album now, so we can just to appease our fans a little bit, or to fill needs for a record deal that we have to put out a certain amount of albums in a certain amount of years, or we don't have the material ready. Hey, let's do a live album, or hey, let's do a cover album. But the cover album for Ace was actually a part of his original agreement that he's going to do one original album and one cover album. So.
I think it's just for fun. I think I was talking with my dad about it the other day, and I was like, Ace isn't going to write another, Shock Me or Rocket Ride. I don't think so. I think not saying he doesn't have it in him, but I just think because there's like the nostalgia to those songs. So why not go have some fun? And like you said, a lot of bands did it. My mom, she was a Barry Manilow fan, so I'll get some flack from Lonnie here. Man,
this is a KISS podcast, and you bring up Barry Manilow and the Village People on a regular basis.
But yeah, I do. But I know Manilow. But he did. I remember my mom picking them up, and there were these Decades cover CDs that he did. He did like one of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and he did it. He did it his style and stuff, and it was a cool concept. And so I think it's fun. With like Ace Frehley being able to, hopefully take these songs and I hate sometimes I hate covers but he changes so much it's a completely different song, but hopefully he aceifies it if he will, but you can still keep true to the original, kind of like how you can see that with the Cream song. It's a Cream song, it sounds like Cream, but at the same time it's Ace Frehley doing it, and so it's cool.
So what happens after this album? I mean, does that fulfill his contract with that company?
I believe so.
It's a 2-record deal, so either they're going to pick him up again, or he's going to have to be looking for another one if he's going to record another album.
So that is a great segue. So what happens after this? Ace is going to tour. Ace already has some dates lined up for the spring. He's going to release this album. What happens next? Where does he go? Where does Ace Frehley go from here?
Well, I think it depends on a few things. Number one, how does this record do? If this record really does well for him, and I think that he's really gunning for it to do well, because I don't think he would have gotten as many of the relevant guests on it that he did if he didn't want it to. I mean, I think that he's gunning on the fact that he has a lot of great people on here that'll help him push the album, right? So if it does really well, I can see him getting picked up again, probably by, I guess, eMusic or whoever has him right now, and maybe giving him another two album shot again. I mean, nobody right now is getting these huge, 5-album contracts anymore because it's just too much of a rolling of the dice, and people just don't even want records right now. They're looking more for singles, and everything's online too and stuff like that. So records in general are not the hip thing right now, but
right. And I mean, I don't think anybody's giving out 5-record deals, because who knows, by the time if you were going to release 3 or 4 records or 5 records for that matter, how are people going to be buying music by the time that contract is even fulfilled?
Yeah.
I mean, will CDs even be in production by that point? I don't know. I hope so because I'm old
Yeah.
school. I'm not going to download it when it comes out. I'm going to go buy the CD at Best Buy, or if I can't find it at Best Buy, I'm going to order the freaking thing from Amazon. I want it
Well, they had
to
they
fix
had a
my
great,
life.
but they had a great thing about that online the other day about how vinyl sales have like quadrupled in the last
There,
2 3 years. So if anything, vinyl albums are coming back, and every time I go to my local HMV here at the mall nearby, I'm seeing younger and younger and younger people buying vinyl. So if anything's going to be bringing it back online, it's going to be the younger generation,
Mhm.
and us older dudes already love vinyl, so it's a win-win situation as far as that goes.
Yeah, I've got a few friends up here at school, and they've got record players in their apartments. And a lot of even the bands. My one friend Peyton, he's a big. He likes to check out the local music scene here and stuff, in kind of the Pacific Northwest region. And he's always got some new vinyl to tell me about every week and stuff. I don't know if the kid gets money for it, but he's managing it. But yeah, so I mean, I hope, and I know like this one's called a Volume 1, and so I really hope there was a Volume 2. You know, I hope if it does good and it's a good concept that there is a Volume 2. So
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I was going to reference that. It's called Origins Volume One. So I mean, I think that makes you think that he's
there's at
not
least the
done.
idea. Yeah,
He's
there's the
not done
idea.
with this.
Yeah.
yeah. And the thing about the you're talking about the albums and more guys or kids or younger crowds buying it is, I think they're starting to learn that it's something tangible having that in your hands. Whether
Yes.
MP3s, you cannot hold that.
Well,
You cannot.
It's
It's out
just
nothing.
there
there. It's just kind
somewhere.
of
Yeah.
there, like in midair.
But they can hold it. They can experience the artwork in its full form. Read like we used to do in the old days.
Exactly.
Read the liner notes. You read every little thing about that's on the whole package. You read, and while you're listening to the music, and then they're also doing they're sharing it, or they go over to the other person's house and like, hey, check this out, and I think it's kind of another way of interacting with people instead of texting or
Well,
something and that sort of thing.
and like you said, it was our original way to learn about the band was opening up that CD or opening up that vinyl
Oh
and
yeah.
reading the song lyrics on. I mean, obviously with MP3s and iTunes, you don't even have the opportunity to read the song lyrics unless there's a digital
Yeah, a
book or
digital
whatever. But
booklet or something.
you know what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
laying on the floor while it's
Hmm.
playing and
But
looking at it and who wrote this track and who's singing this one and well
Yeah.
this or that or what's he really saying here and flipping to that song and hearing oh okay that's now I know what he's saying there.
and then,
That's all part of the experience.
and then
Something
another thing
like
that
this, well, it's all
people
part of the experience.
Another thing that people are forgetting though too is that right now, for example, like Vinyl Me Please. There's a company out that does this thing where you sign up. It's like a club, and every month they send you a record. Okay, that they
Oh.
select. It's supposed to be a really like obscure record or something. But on top of the record, they give you like stuff that's exclusive to it. They put out like a 180-gram version of Black Sabbath's Paranoid on colored vinyl that came out, and it had like this really weird thing where they give you like a 12 by 12 picture, like an odd picture from the archives that you get with it, and plus they give you this every month. They give you like a recipe for a cocktail that has to do with the band,
Oh,
right? That they give you. So,
cool.
what I'm trying to get at though is that people are starting to realize that now if you buy albums, there's trinkets and little things. Like look at Kiss records, you would get like the toy gun and the love gun and stuff like that. And this is something that you cannot get with MP3s and stuff like that.
Well, and you mentioned the 180-gram vinyl too. I think maybe people are realizing that it sounds a hell of a lot better listening to an album on vinyl than it does through an MP3.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Well,
You know,
just and setting up to a big system and stuff. I got a couple records over there on my shelf, and I went to my friend Peyton's place, and we played out those records that I got from a band, and it was just exciting, just like to actually take like you said, something tangible, and putting it on a turntable, dropping the needle on it, and then sitting back and letting the music fill the room. And again, like I said, with packaging, I go to country dance every week up here because it's a little bit country up here. And I picked up like a Zach Brown CD. I picked up a Zach Brown CD, and I was disappointed when I opened it because it was just a disc and it just had the song titles and who wrote it, and that was it. And it was like, what was the little booklet? At least give me like the history of the band. This is your best stuff album. You fill me in on why I should look more into, especially your best stuff, but why I should look more into this band. Or if it's your best stuff, have the lyrics there. If these are your best songs, you want me to be singing these songs when I come to a concert and stuff.
Exactly.
So,
I know we've gotten off a little course, and we're probably
The show doesn't get off the course.
This is Kiss My Wax, the other edition. But the other thing I want to say about the vinyl is too. The last thing I'll say about it is it's fantastic. If you don't have it, or haven't even tried it, try it. It's pretty cool. I remember when I was young, peeling off the wrapping, right, and then you just pop it open and smelling the. It was just the smell of it, the new printed material and the brand new vinyl. It was just quite an experience, and pulling it out for the first time and putting it on a platter. It's just something that's cool, and I hope it actually keeps growing.
Yeah, I hope the surge does continue with the vinyl because it's, like I said, it's the sound quality is just night and day better, and it's worth pissing off your wife to get a second copy of an album that you buy. So.
I feel like to keep the marriage stuff, if they have like different, CD editions, Lonnie, we should all chip in and pick one edition for you, so that way you can be like, honey, this one was sent to me, okay?
Right.
Yeah, right.
She's used to it. She just rolls her eyes. You're the only one I even know that even. We don't. People she knows aren't out there buying vinyl. And she's the only person I know that even buys CDs anymore, much less vinyl. We do not download music in this house. We don't even get on iTunes and download music. We go out and buy music in this house.
Exactly.
I will throw it out there since we kind of got into this like record stuff, but I hope Ace does something cool for record day.
Record store day.
Like
if or Ace or.
Like if Ace throw White Room on a 45 single.
Yeah, something like that.
And that'd be way cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
I wish Kiss would do something too.
It's around the same time now. It's in April.
Yeah.
Record Store Day. So that's around near his
to
release date. So maybe they might do something.
But they've already released the date in the list of artists that's going to be participating this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they have.
If you go online and go Record Store Day, April 2016, there's a list already of stuff on there. But
we don't have
they
to
can
look
always
sure Kiss isn't on.
They could always add to it though. I'm sure that they could if they wanted to. Right? But anyways, what about like Kiss covers? I mean, I thought we were going to talk about that a bit, right?
Yeah. So in the last. We got a Paul McCartney cover from Kiss, I guess about a year ago.
Now, real quick, who plays on it? Because part of it, I read one thing was Paul McCartney's band. And
it is Paul McCartney's band, and then Gina Paul.
Band.
The only thing Gina Paul do on that song is actually sing. It's Paul McCartney's band playing, but it's still a fantastic cover. We're talking about the Gina Paul song that was on Paul McCartney's album called
Venus and Mars.
Art of McCartney.
Venus and Mars. Was it Venus and Mars?
Venus and Mars / Rock Show.
Rock Show, right.
It's like the first two tracks on that album, which was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that rendition. It was one of the best things, in my opinion, Kiss has put out in a long time. And several years prior to that, I guess it was 2003, we got a version of a Ramones cover that was on a Ramones tribute album, Rock and Roll Radio, and it was Gene, Paul, and Eric. It was a three-man Kiss that played on that, and it was in a little bit of a transition phase for the band. Mm-hmm. But maybe it was 2002 that came out. It must have been 2002 because it was before Symphony in 2003, so it had to have been 2002. But it was a great version of that song. Also, so we've heard two in the last decade or so really great Kiss covers by some great bands. So what other songs would you guys be interested in? Maybe we talked about how a covers album might be, a way to bridge gaps. Kiss is kind of in a gap themselves right now, not having a full-length album since 2012, kind of doing these sporadic tour dates here and there. It kind of reminds me of 2007 when they're doing like that hit and run tour. It's like, what are we doing right now? Maybe a covers album might be a direction for Kiss to go, just to put out product. So
Definitely.
what kind?
You left.
I mean, it is better than nothing. God
Lonnie,
knows we're not putting out any DVDs. So
Or Blu-rays.
or
Yeah.
Blu-rays for that
Lonnie,
matter.
you left out the other covers that they did. They covered their own songs
Yes, their own songs.
Right. on the Japanese.
The
They came
Japanese.
with Sonic Boom, but
That's a
See,
show in
Oh,
itself
God,
too.
see what you did there, kid.
But that album, I can't listen to that. I can't do it. I remember it
just
came
can't
out.
do
I was
it.
excited. I got the Japanese one when it came out before Sonic Boom came out. I ordered it from CD Japan and got it. Downloaded it to my iPod. I'm like, I'm going to run to these songs today. It was one of the worst runs I've had because to me those songs just don't have a lot of feel to them at all, and it really just feels like the band just going through the motions and they record those. I don't know how you guys feel, but I was
I
not a
just
fan
feel-
of
I
those.
don't-
Still not a
I-
fan of those.
I feel Heaven's on Fire's got a glitch in the beginning. It like cuts off the intro, and then I felt the keyboard on Christine 16 was out of tune. The other
Oh,
song
really?
just went terrible. But
to
Well,
listen to that again.
Honestly, I have two comments on that. One is that it still has a better version of Hotter Than Hell than was ever on the original. It sounds 1,000 times
Well, it's
better.
clean.
True.
But that was purely done to get back copyright. That is the only reason why they did that, because when somebody wanted to come up to them and say, hey, we want to use, Rock and Roll All Night, or we want to use Lick It Up or something on a commercial, they want them to go and use the original Casablanca / Mercury versions of it. They want them to use their new Kiss Inc. versions of the songs so that they can get all the coin coming their way, and Mercury can stick it as far as they're concerned, I'm sure, right? So
Absolutely.
that's why they did it.
Absolutely. And if you when they did those Dr. Pepper commercials several years ago, that's the re-record of Calling Dr. Love that's on there. That's not the rock and roll version of Dr. Love. And on the Kiss Pinball machine, it's all the re-records that are on there as well. Scooby-Doo movie, it's all the re-records on there as well. You're exactly right. That was the main focus behind that. Can I listen to those songs just as is, pop in that CD? Absolutely not. I can't do it. But I understand the purpose behind it.
Yeah.
So you mentioning of Kiss at a covers album, I'm going to throw a song I think you should do.
Sure.
Boys Are Back in Town with Kiss, but Eric Singer on vocals. I think he would do a killer version of it.
See that?
That's an interesting choice. I could see that. And Eric's vocal range is perfect for that song.
Well, it's funny because they do, whenever they were doing their sort of meet and greet shows, they would always kind of dabble with songs here and there.
Don't
Like,
say damn.
they were doing like, they did,
Kidding.
okay, they fiddled with like a Zeppelin song.
That's
like,
even worse.
Yeah.
It's like the mirror version of the word moist over here, guys.
Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry. I'm just being a jerk.
That's okay. I'm just saying that they usually fiddle around with stuff. So they did Zeppelin. They've done a track 2 of maybe did a little bit of a Deep Purple song, or did a little bit of a Stones song. So I mean, I'm sure they do lots of different things that they know that they can do. But the question is now, what can they do well, right? And do they, but before they didn't have time to work on this stuff because they were always on tour and they didn't have any time to do it. But now that they have the time, maybe they could actually sit down and work a couple of good versions of some covers and make a good album like that. I mean, why not?
Honestly, though, I'd rather have new music from them.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
yeah, it'd be nice to have something from them.
But I mean,
Anything right now it's dead. So
I'd love new tracks too, and I think a covers album. I think it'd be cool if they did say 10 songs. And I'd say have fun with these. Do 7 cover songs, but I say go ahead, have fun, go in the studio or go in your little archives and pick out a couple songs. I'm sure all you guys saw the clip of Paul doing "Mistake" on the Kiss cruise.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was really cool, and he got, I feel like he updated or changed the lyric a little bit, but why not just go and have some fun and do a re-record version of that song?
Record these unfinished demos. Yeah.
I mean, we all have hundreds of demos, and hundreds, but we have tons of demos and unfinished tracks. Now that'd be a fun project. Go and finish or record proper versions of some of those songs, like Mistake or Smoke or
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because Van Halen's last studio album they did, that essentially is what they did. They just took a bunch of their old songs, fixed them up, modernized them, and released it as a new album. And people bought it, and some songs did okay. Tattoo did okay, all right for them. And
and a lot of people say it's
there you
the
go.
closest thing to classic Van Halen that they've heard since 1984.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
can't write songs like you did when you were in your either teens or early 20s. You don't have that same, I
Yeah.
don't know, what is it, drive or...
Yeah.
Well, and you're in a different place.
Mentality or
And you're in a different
headspace.
place in your life when you're in your 60s and you were in your 20s.
Sure.
You know, Paul Stanley's not going to write a song like Mistake now. You know,
Right.
he's married and lives in a mansion in Beverly Hills. He's not going to write a song called
He's-
Mistake.
He's pretty
Gene-
happy. He might write a song called Biscotti and a Latte.
Right, or Life is Good.
I'm not going to write, Christine 16,
No, it'd be,
God.
That'd be really...
you'd have the FBI knocking on your door if you wrote a song called Christine 16 when you were 16.
Gene, have a seat over there. I'm Chris Hansen for Dateline NBC.
Online, he calls himself Taboo 69. I was just going fishing. Sounds like what you were fishing for was sex with a 14-year-old girl. So
yeah. It'd be nice. I mean, I like Alex's idea. I mean, I think, they should, well, maybe Lonnie's, everyone's ideas. If they can go back and finish some of those old songs, they're obviously classics, even in demo form, some of them. Finish them and do one last album and, just kick butt on one final album.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm going to see how many plays Mistake had on YouTube. So, it's a serious thing. Mistake, one of us got like 26,000 views on the song. So clearly people know about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's 26,000, maybe 26,000 people buy it. But
It's about their buying audience.
I mean,
right
that's
now.
how much sells these days. Right? You can't sell
you can't expect to sell a whole lot more than that, unfortunately. No. But I think that would be a great, if you don't want to go into the studio and totally create an album from scratch, take a look at some of those demos and update them and, re-record them with today's band and put a modern feel to them. And I don't think a lot of us, none of the four of us are really jumping at the bit thinking, Kiss do a covers album and they can do this song or they can do that song. I'd rather hear, I'm kind of with Ken, that I'd rather hear quote unquote new music, even if it is, songs like Smoke or Mistake redone and put out. I'd rather hear that than Paul Stanley sing Angie on a Kiss covers album or something like that.
Right.
It'd be fine. You know what? The four of us would go buy it, and everybody listening, if you're listening to a Kiss podcast, you'd go out and buy a new Kiss album, even if it is a Kiss covers album. But is it something that's going to get me fired up and, be proud to be a Kiss fan? Yeah, probably not. I'll probably listen to it a few times and kind of be like, well, that's all right. But that's about it. So I'd rather have a full length one more. I'm greedy. And if they did one more, I'd say I want another one. But I'd like to have one more full length Kiss album, and do it soon because you guys are approaching 70 years old. So I'm not trying to be cryptic here, but let's get it done. I mean, we read stories online about Gene having a heart condition a few years back. Unfortunately, time isn't on their side anymore to do some of these projects. So
Kiss, do something. Y'all are getting old. I'll say it. Come on.
Well, I think that's our thoughts on the Ace Frehley upcoming solo album, and the guest appearances on there, and the track listings on there, and our thoughts on what we do or don't want as far as a Kiss cover album. Unless you guys have any other thoughts on a Kiss cover album or any other ideas on it.
I'd say the only other thing I would kind of wish to see be, I know you got the unplugged, but I wouldn't mind like a studio version of some acoustic songs, but maybe they rearranged them a little bit. I think Night Ranger did like 24 strings and a drummer or something like that, and it was a pretty cool concept they did with some of the songs.
Speaking of acoustic, Kiss did that show at Badlands last week. We haven't mentioned that on the show yet. Really sounded great from what I heard of it. Really enjoyed that they played Love 'Em Leave 'Em at a acoustic show last year, and they played that again. I would love, and I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I'm sure you guys are probably going to agree, but Kiss is kind of spinning their wheels doing these one-off shows. They got this show coming up in Orlando in April, and they're doing these 2 shows up in Wyoming and one in North Dakota in July. I'd really like to see Kiss, if the guarantee isn't there from Live Nation to go out and do a full summer tour in the U.S., or maybe they're having an issue getting a co-headliner with them. I don't know, and maybe I'll be surprised and next week they're going to come out and say, bam, Kiss is coming out and they're doing this summer. I really don't know. But I would love to see Kiss go out and do 6, maybe 7 shows in the U.S., North America, Mark, and I don't want to leave you out, and do acoustic shows at small theaters. Do play 6, 7, maybe just even 10 cities in North America, and play acoustic shows like that. And you could charge, and say we're going to do these acoustic shows, and we're going to play some gems like Love 'Em Leave 'Em, and promote it like that. This is for the hardcore fans. We're doing this for the fans, kind of like what they did, in the mid '90s. This is for the fans. This is for you. And you could charge a couple $100 even for them, and people would pay. I would love to see that, and it'd be something different, as opposed to if Kiss did announce that they're going to do a full-scale North American tour next week. I can tell you 95% of the set list before they even played their first song. So that'd be my suggestion, and I don't know if that's reasonable. I don't know if they're interested in playing in small theaters. We're Kiss. We play the biggest venues possible. It might be an ego blow to them that I don't want to go out and play in small theaters in Chicago when last time we were here we played the shed down the street or played the United Center or whatever. So what are your guys' thoughts on Kiss doing something like that?
Well, real quick, I think, Mark, we talked about it once on another show, and I love that idea. Maybe a few more locations too, but and do it like a storytellers too. I mean, be loose, have some fun. I mean, I'm sure they've probably discussed some of the songs in between, but do like a storytellers. I mean, you know what? I would have no problem if I went to a show known as going to be a 2.5 hour show, and if they said we're only going to do 15 songs, but we're going to tell you a lot of fun stories in between, then I'm all game for that then, because it'll be a fun acoustic night with Kiss. And make it a fun event too. Like you said, throw some gems in there. I mean, even though they're kind of doing the MTV Unplugged set list, I mean, how many of those songs do they normally go out and do any electric set list? So I'd love to see it. I was super stoked at 2010 was the hottest show on Earth tour when they came out and did Beth with the acoustic guitars. I thought that was really cool.
You're gonna get killed on the board.
Yeah, well, I think that he has a point, though. I mean, I think Kiss's last thing that they have in their back pockets to do is something like that, like a televised storyteller show where they can come in. I mean, I just saw on YouTube not long ago there was a David Bowie one where he did it in 2002 where he came in with a full electric band and then people called in. I'm sure it was kind of rigged that they had certain songs on the list that the people when they called in could choose from instead of just randomly picking, because I'm sure he knew certain material, right? But even still, just doing that kind of thing where you would select a song, he would tell you 10 minutes about the song, an interesting story that happened here while we wrote it or this and that, and then play the song. I think it's something that people would be interested in. People would watch it. They would make a lot of money from it. Television would make a lot of money off it because it's something that people would be interested in seeing, because it's not just a straight up show. It's something that you learn about the songs and the history of the band at the same time. I think that's their last sort of, big project that they can do that they haven't done yet.
Yeah, and maybe that is like they're acing the whole card right out there.
I can see that. I can go for that. I would go I'd buy a ticket for that. That would be something that'd be cool. That's something I haven't seen. I saw them unplugged on the convention tour, but that's not the same thing. There's kind of piecemeal songs on that, right?
Did you
So
guys go to the convention at all?
I did in
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Did you go, Mark? Too?
Yeah, Toronto.
Did you?
Yeah. So, I could see. I like your idea, Alex. I think it's a good idea. I also think that there's a possibility though they might pull another Las Vegas run, maybe later in the year before the next cruise. And I would definitely, I think if they were doing that and they didn't do a summer tour around here, I think I would definitely go to one of the Las Vegas shows.
Yeah, I did Vegas, I guess, a year and a half ago when they did that, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great atmosphere, and that venue at the Hard Rock is amazing. It's one of the best venues I've been in for a concert. It's fantastic. So it was a lot of fun, and I could see them doing something like that again too. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with Kiss in 2016. We're still kind
Yeah.
of waiting every day. We kind of get up and think, well, maybe today's the day we'll hear something of what's going on.
I almost got a feeling that they're kind of working on something because this is unusual for
Right.
Kiss. I think there's something in the works, and they're just waiting on it to happen, waiting, and they're just waiting to drop the bomb. I always get that
Ace
feeling
really
that
coming back.
Didn't-
Man,
Yeah.
we're talking about
Maybe,
Didn't-
maybe they're prepping for next year for the 25th anniversary of Revenge for Lonnie.
right.
Yeah.
oh
But
yeah,
My dream
didn't
come true.
last year Tommy Thayer said they got some special things planned for 2016. I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
But, maybe
Cruise or something, he said
something's
something
hidden
like
in
that,
there.
yeah.
Cryptic. Cruise is normal to me. Is just a normal routine.
Right.
Something else. I'm hoping they're planning something special.
I hope so. Being the 40th anniversary of Rock and Roll Over, the 40th anniversary of Destroyer. We've talked about the
35th
something to
anniversary.
celebrate those.
35th anniversary of The Elder.
Ah, yes, 35th anniversary of The Elder. So,
And that book's coming up too later in the year. So
yeah.
don't forget.
So
a book. What book?
maybe the boss has his hand in that. Maybe we'll find out something for that. Maybe they're bringing back the Elder costumes for that. I don't know if I want to see Gene with that open of a costume though. So.
He said like he's been losing weight though, so who knows?
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, what it looks like anyway. So, well, those are our thoughts on. I think we always at some point get back to what is Kiss doing right now. I think at some point the episode, no matter what the topic, always rolls back into what is Kiss going to do in 2016, or rolls into I hate the Kiss set list. One of the two. So those are our thoughts on that and our thoughts on the Ace Frehley Origins Volume 1 set, album due out April 15th. Go out and buy it when it does come out. Go out and support Ace if he is coming to your area. If he's not coming to your area, you want to see us, go take a road trip and go see him. I had a great time when I saw him last year, and I hope to see him again soon. So leave us your thoughts on that on the FAQ message board or on YouTube. Remember, you can watch the show on YouTube. You can subscribe to the show via iTunes. I'd like to get some more, if you guys want to take the time and give us a rating on iTunes and leave us a review on iTunes. I'd like to see that grow. So if you are a fan of the show, let us know about it over on iTunes. Julian and I and Mark and Ken and Alex and the rest of us really, really would appreciate that. So take 2 seconds out of your day and go give us a rating. And even if you don't like us, go give us a rating too. Well, if you don't like us, just ignore that. Don't. But if you're listening this deep into the show, you must enjoy it to some extent. So, and you can also stream the show on Spreaker. If you're in your car, you can listen on the Spreaker app, broadcast it through your Bluetooth on your phone, comes in crystal clear.
And if you go on YouTube, leave comments because they're super funny to read sometimes.
Well, I'm just going to leave that alone. So, those are our thoughts on today's topic. Leave us your thoughts on the KISS FAQ message board or any other place you desire to leave a comment. So I want to thank Julian for letting us do the show again this week without him, and I want to thank Alex, Ken, and Mark for being on the show today. And leave us your feedback on that, or leave Alex your feedback on Barry Manilow if you get a chance. Also. So, for Alex, for Ken, for Mark, I am Lonnie Weishauer, stlkiss on the KissFAQ message board. You stay classy, Kiss Army.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. We hope to see you again.